Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo Sport, and we're about to take on an extremely difficult daily race. As you can tell from that introduction, we have got Mehdi in front of us on the grid, one of Gran Turismo's fastest drivers in my personal opinion, and possibly one of the fastest, up there with some of the fastest drivers for time trial. And we also have Zavizic right there behind me in P4, so this is going to be a very interesting race. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscription button. Let me know in the comments what you think about this race, and also hit that thumbs up if you do enjoy this race that we're about to take on. This is going to be a extremely difficult and a really big challenge for myself to get a result out of this. Let's see what we can do in this daily race C. Okay, so starting from P3. First things first, we're starting on the medium tyres. I have no idea at this point in this race what other tyres people are on. Now, we're warming these tyres up. The cars in front are not warming their tyres up, but that does not mean they are not starting on the mediums. I was pretty convinced that on phased, Mehdi would be starting on the mediums in front of us. Especially after going through these corners, it looked like they were on the same kind of tyre as myself, because the grip wasn't massively different by the looks of it. We have Zavizic behind us, who is also weaving, so we know that he is going to be on their medium tyres, and this is going to be a very interesting race as we work our way through the opening lap. First things first, just try and keep it nice and smooth. Don't make any errors on your first lap. Always trying to keep it nice and smooth. That is always the best thing to do. Don't overdrive the car, because one, the tyres are not fully up to temperature, so it's best to take it reasonably easy. Now, one thing we do know is this race is a bit of a tyre killer. We're in the RCZ. The RCZ is one of the stronger cars on tyres, and it actually really suits my driving style. This car we used in the Creators race at Spa. I drove really well in that. Now, when a track suits me, this car does tend to be pretty good for me. So we were pretty good at Interlagos with this car also. So let's see what we can do in this race. Racing probably one of the fastest drivers on the game in my view in front of us, Mehdi. So working our way through the final sector, you can see that he is all over the Ferrari in front of him. So we know that Agu has done a very fast qualifying time. Agu does tend to suffer a little bit more in race. I'm not sure if he's on the control pad or not, but I do know that the Ferrari will not be as fast in terms of race pace purely because of tyre wear. You really know how to look after your tyres. So at this point in this race, I was thinking we're driving okay, but they have got extremely good pace on their medium tyres, because I really believed they would be on the mediums, especially with, I made a little mistake on that opening lap. We drove a little bit too aggressive into one of the corners and lost the slipstream. So at this stage, I was thinking they're on mediums, I'm on mediums, Zavizic is on mediums. We're just a little bit slower than the two drivers in front of us. So yeah, you can see on the replay camera in the bottom right hand corner as well, the gaps, there's just little gaps in between groups of drivers. So you've got a little bit of a gap between myself and P2, and then Zavizic just hanging onto the slipstream with a car right behind him, and then another gap to the next group of cars. So all going okay at the moment. You can see on these replay cameras that look absolutely amazing on Gran Turismo. They always look so good. I love the way they look on this game. So yeah, we're working our way through, keeping it nice and smooth again. Trying not to overdrive it. Now, one thing I would say with the medium tyres is you do have a tendency to try and overdrive them sometimes, because you obviously want to be putting in as good a lap time as possible. But if you drive these tyres smooth with the RCZ and really be smooth with your downshifting, and generally just brake a little bit earlier, these tyres can actually give you quite good lap times. As we come out of there, you can see, now I thought that was a penalty. Let's see what happens. I really did think that was going to be a penalty, but somehow we have got some luck for this race. And some races are like that. You just get away with stuff like that. And I was convinced that was going to be a penalty. But just look at this. As we come through here, we've managed to break the slipstream to Zavizic behind us. Now, that is really important, because we don't want him sitting behind us and able to save his tyres. Now he's got a push, and that's really good to see anyway, because this track is actually not a bad track for staying with people in slipstream, and we've managed to actually break it. So clearly got good pace. We're on the mediums. We know that he's on the mediums, so our pace is looking pretty good at Cataluna driving this RCZ. As we start lap 3 now, you can see we did a 44.5, which is not the worst lap on the mediums. That's actually a pretty okay lap time. I think we could have gone a little bit faster. I think we could have done a 44.1 or a 44.3 if we would have really hooked it up. But it was an okay lap time for our first race on my main account, because we've been driving the second account for most of the night. And this was, we decided to jump on and try and compete at the front with the fastest driver, because it was quite a competitive day. Mondays tend to be quite competitive on GT Sport daily races, and this lobby was no exception. We got some very fast drivers. We've also got Sparks, who I think if he would have set a lap time, he would have been right up there with this battle as well, because I know that Sparks is incredibly fast around Catalunya. We've had some really good battles with him in the past. So yeah, he just did a quick lap to start him a little bit further up. I think he was driving the Mazda in this race, possibly Mazda Atenza, I'm not 100% sure, but he had started down in P8 or something like that, I think. So at the moment, we're just trying to see if we can stay with a group of cars, and yeah, unfortunately for Agu, I have to apologise for this, because I think this might be my fault.
Agu's doing a brilliant job on their mediums up ahead. Oh my god, I shouldn't have. I'm sorry, Agu, mate. I think I might be to blame for that.
And as you can see there, that is why I think that was my fault. We absolutely cursed Agu with that instance. So during the live stream, I was just commending how well he was driving on what I thought was the medium tyres. And unfortunately for him, as soon as we did that, he had a very instant death. So I have to apologise to Agu, because I feel like I caused that. But we get ahead of him. His tyres, this is the thing with the Ferrari. Once you spin the Ferrari, it is pretty much game over, especially with ×8 tyre wear. If you have one mistake with that car, it's just, that's it, completely over. As we come out there and we nearly get the curb glitch, I've seen some very fast drivers, including TRL Lightning, Mikel Hizal, who has had issues there. I think a lot of other drivers have as well. But yeah, that curb, it's a bit of a glitch. Your car gets stuck in it, but somehow I managed to save that. Got away with that one. I think the RCZ's natural traction and grip probably helped this car out. I think if that was in anything like the NSX, Ferrari, Lamborghini, we would be in the wall, but we got away with it probably because we're driving the RCZ. So up into P2 anyway, and we're going to go for an early pit stop. Now you can pit lap 4 or 5. I don't recommend pitting earlier than that. You can go in lap 3, but you will need to do a lot of tyre saving towards the end of the race on the soft tyre. So we're going in lap 4. We're going to put some soft tyres on, and let's see how we come out. Where do we come out? Do we come out in traffic? And luckily for myself, I have come out in absolute clean air. This is a perfect situation. So we know that obviously Zavizic had stayed out for another lap on their mediums to give himself better tyres at the end, and also Unfazed has stayed out. Now this was quite confusing, because as we pitted, we saw that Agu was actually on the soft tyres. So he was not on their medium tyres. Agu was actually driving the soft tyres. So we're in a very strong position here. As another driver there, probably on worn tyres, has lost control of the car. We were already ahead of him anyway. So yeah, at least we won't be catching him up on this lap. So a nice bit of clean air guaranteed for myself on this lap. And again, one important thing, on your out lap, really drive it smooth. Don't overdrive the car. You'll notice with my downshift, I'm being very gentle, not really, downshift aggressive, because the more gentle you are with your downshifts, the less downshift you make also will help improve your tyre wear. So every time you downshift the car or upshift the car, it will take tyre life out of your tyres. So just bear that in mind when you're racing, because the less shifts you do, so for example, coming through some of these corners, you can actually keep it in like higher gears, and it's advised you do it because it will help you look after your tyres. And then as we look there, we go in through the corner and we see that on phase, Mehdi was actually on the soft tyre on that first stint. This has really given us some motivation in this race now. So we've got to drive this 100% committed, FIA mode engaged, and now we need to really be on our best really right now. Really concentrate, taking each corner perfect, making sure we're looking after the tyres. Like I was saying, trying not to overdrive the car, because we've got to do the 6 laps. So what I try and do here now is try and be quite calm. We're not going to just go right 100% attack. Let's catch Mehdi and then have no tyres when we get to him. So what we're going to do is carry on with this smooth driving, staying in 3rd gear through there. We're not going to go down to 2nd gear on this go. We're going to try and keep it nice and smooth. And you can see there, 2.6 seconds to Mehdi in P1. This is looking pretty good. We've got obviously a little bit older tyres, but we should be able to get quite close to him. And also, you can see in the distance, Mehdi has actually picked up, I think, a half-second penalty, possibly for the pit entry or the final chicane. I'm not too sure. It could have been anywhere on the lap, but normally if you're going to get a penalty, it's quite easy to get one on the pit entry and also that final chicane. So this is going to slow him down a little bit more. We've got Zavizic behind us, about 3 seconds behind us there, 3.2 seconds behind us. Now that's quite good, because we've got 4 laps to go here. Well, 3.5 laps, 4 laps, and yeah, he's got quite a big margin to catch us up there. I know he has got 1 lap fresher tyres, but if we look after these tyres and he really goes aggressive, we might be able to hold on to this position from Zabazic, and we're looking like we might be able to catch Unfazed. Mehdi up here, I keep calling him Unfazed because that used to be his name, but Mehdi up in P1 there, you can see, even closer now, under 2 seconds that gap to P1, and do you know what, I never thought I would be actually beating Mehdi round it, or even getting this close to him. And I have to say though, I will point this out, he is driving the Golf. Now the Golf is not the best choice of car around here, it's definitely not the worst, but I will say this, that the Golf is not as good on tyre wear, and it's a trickier car to drive for race conditions. So I'm pretty sure if you put Mehdi into my car and me in that Golf, Mehdi would be a long way ahead of me right now. Just to point this out, I just don't want to be acting like it's an amazing drive by myself, because I do want to give the obvious point that Mehdi is driving a car that's probably not as suited to this track and these conditions with the tyre wear as the car I'm driving. So at least we've got that out of the way. It's still going to be very hard to beat him though. He's one of the best drivers on the game. Getting closer through this long right hand corner, and you can see they're using all the track. Obviously on the mediums for the Golf, we'll give him a little bit more on the steer, get very close to the curb there, we saw on that corner. And now for ourselves, again, just keeping it very smooth. We're not overdriving the car. We're just trying to keep this car on the track, and just coming through, you can just see we've actually pretty much picked up the slipstream. And again, we're not overdriving it. We're just trying to be really smooth, because the smoother you are, the better your tyres are going to last. And you can see there Zabazic in the background starting to come into play a bit, but still over 2 seconds behind us, and that's really important because he won't get the slipstream until 7 tenths behind. And at the moment we've only got a few laps to go, and he's gaining, but he's not really gaining fast enough. We've done a brilliant job on these tyres, and now we actually have the slipstream to Mehdi. And you can see there Zabazic had a little half-second penalty or so, so he's obviously cut a corner somewhere, and that's going to help us out even more. So yeah, we're obviously going to get the slipstream down the straight. Now the only thing is though, we're losing a little bit of time through the corners because we're getting a little bit of dirty air. The tyres are starting to fade off on our car anyway, so that's going to make it a little bit difficult to follow. He's got a lap fresh and medium tyres, which are going to be in much better condition than mine at this phase of the race. However, the soft tyres always do provide that little bit of extra grip, so we should still have the ability to get past him if we can go for a move somewhere. And we're going to gain a bit on the straight because, like I say, the Golf is probably one of the faster cars down the straights, extremely good down the straight line. So we're going to gain a bit of pace down here. You can see already going 3 or 4 miles per hour faster than what we can go. We got up to 165 there. Normally you're only hitting 159, I think, in the Peugeot in race conditions. So definitely gaining quite a bit of speed down the straight. That's going to help us keep that gap to Zabazic in P3 as we work our way through this long right hand corner. Again, you can see that Mehdi getting a little bit of understeer through there with the RCZ though. Not as much understeer on these soft tyres. Tyres are looking pretty good. We've got a lot of rear grip still. That is one great thing about the RCZ. The rear grip is so strong, so you can run that brake bias all the way to -4, take some life out the fronts because they'll still grip, and then you've got really good rear tyre traction. And that's what I did with this race. We went for quite a aggressive front bias. Still had plenty of grip on the front end, but it gives us really maximum grip on the rear when we're trying to get on the power, and also keeping it smooth the way we're driving. This was probably my best drive in a long time, I think, in daily races, because I was really on it. We were cooking up the corners. We weren't overdriving the car. One thing I do tend to do is, on daily races, I do tend to get a little bit aggressive. I overdrive it. I forget about tyre saving. But in this race, we've driven almost perfectly. You can see putting Mehdi under a lot of pressure now. Will he be able to hold on to that position? Now, the only problem we've got, again, is that Golf is very fast down the straights. I need to get a really strong exit off the chicane to be able to go for a move on him. So staying as close as we can through here. Again, trying to be really smooth while we're following in the slipstream. Not trying to overdrive it. Getting on the power through here. Kind of messed that up a little bit. Ran a little bit wide, but we're still in the slipstream. But you can see that Mehdi got a really good exit off that final chicane. And again, that's going to be very difficult to go for a move into the braking zone. So we've got 2 more laps to go. You can see Zabazic there, still over 2 seconds behind us. That is looking perfect. It's going to be very difficult for him to catch that amount of time up in 2 laps. So into the braking zone again. It's down to 2nd gear this time just to try and help the rotation. And now it's time to try and use the last little bit of tyre life up, really. I felt like we've got to go quite aggressive now because we need to make this move on this lap. But unfortunately for Mehdi, he runs a little bit wide. He gets that understeer that we keep noticing. And this is going to make a really easy move for us. Up the inside, he's got dirty tyres. We've got soft tyres that are still giving us grip. And now we can push on. He's going to have a loss of grip through that corner, which is going to pretty much mean that I'm going to break away from the slipstream, and that is us into P1 in this highly competitive daily race C. So doing an absolute brilliant job in this. Now we just got to try and keep it smooth. Again, we don't want to overdrive the car. We've got to push a bit because we want to make sure we get out of the slipstream. We do know that Zavizic is going to be coming through and trying to get past Mehdi also. But yeah, the problem that Zavizic is going to have, if Mehdi's got good tyres, it's going to be difficult. But Zavizic does have that lap extra fresher tyres. That's going to help him out. And also Mehdi though has the extra speed down the straight, so it's going to be interesting between them as we see. It looks like Zavizic has actually made the move on Mehdi. However, that might not be the best place to go for a move because, as we all know, the Golf down the straight in a slipstream, their tyres are going to be pretty much at equals now because, like I say, Zavizic has got the 1 lap better tyres than us, so he's got equal lap tyres to Mehdi. However, Mehdi's on the medium tyres, so them tyres would be coming back at the soft tyres. I'd still say the softs were a bit faster at this point for Zavizic, quite a bit, because our tyres are definitely faster. You can see we're pulling away now, and we've done the extra lap. So let's see in the mirror. You can see on the Delta on the top left hand side, this is where you're going to be very vulnerable in the RCZ. And as we come through here, you're going to see that Mehdi does get himself back up into P2. So that's perfect for me because he's on the medium tyres, and I know that myself on the softs still got plenty of grip, driving really well, doing reasonable lap times as well, and keeping it nice and consistent. And yeah, fast forward the rest of this lap, all we had to do now is make sure we don't make any silly mistakes, hit them braking points, and then get it over the start finishing line for a very well earned win in daily racing. Now I know this is only a daily race, but it did feel really nice to beat these drivers in a race, you know, a competitive race like this, and starting from P3 as well. We didn't start P1, we had to earn that win, and I feel like that's one of our strongest daily race performances in a long time. A pretty decent finishing time as well of 17:56 considering we started from P3. So I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did enjoy that race, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and please give the video a thumbs up. It really does help us out, and I'll be seeing you all for more videos and live streams in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Bye.